If you're watching this video and you're wondering what leverage has to do with Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, well, Obi-Wan's position is all the leverage he needs to defeat Anakin. In the same situation, this is a comprehensive tool for about all of your daily transactions and needs in any profession. Leverage is a tool to achieve an outcome or desired resolution. This is roughly Google's definition of what leverage is. And this video isn't just for business finance majors, people who are working for banks or financial institutions, but this is for anybody who's interacting with anybody at all. Here are a couple of examples of what leverage looks like across a couple of different professions. Let's say you have a psychologist. The psychologist has a meaningful and deep relationship with you. You've been going 2 sessions every week, and new information keeps coming up during the conversations. Your psychologist is keeping tabs on everything that you say in her notebook or his notebook, making sure that they get all the information that they need for future meetings. Another industry that I would like to mention is law enforcement. Law enforcement is all about information. Anytime that law enforcement is involved, we've heard this famous saying before, anything that you say or do will be used against you. Now, this is to incriminate you, whether that's a misdemeanor or a felony. My last example would be an interview, or if you're an ongoing W-2 retail worker. If you're a retail worker, and if you've been tasked with more responsibilities than what your job entails, that gives you much more leverage over your supervisors and managers because you have more responsibilities than your peers, making your value go up because they're able to depend on you more. If they lose you, they lose a valuable asset. So you can use anything that you do, if your performance is good, against supervisors and managers. Most people in the retail industry don't know what leverage is. They just think it's performance reviews, making sure that they do quarterly reviews, annual reviews, anything of that nature to make sure that your performance is meeting the standard. Same thing with interviews. People think that interviews are designed to help them get a job, when in fact, companies look out for risks. And that's what interviews really come down to. Assessing the risk to make sure that you would be somebody that would fit their guidelines and standards for the job. They're looking out for any cues or details or anything clear that would cut you from being a candidate for that job. First, I would like to say, if you're a finance major or you're looking to go into the finance industry, it's cutthroat. You want to make sure that you are setting the bar for lowest risk possible if you want to be hired. But more on that later if you want to make sure that you're passing your interviews. What I would say is, if you're going into finance and you want to know how the finance industry really works, it's really just all about leverage every step of the way. And that comes down to your communication. I will emphasize communication in a different video, but leverage is the tool that you refine once your communication skills get better. Finally, some real applications of what leverage looks like in the context of investments and also distributing or receiving credit. While I was working for the banks and large banks, I did have financial consultations with people who did have investments because I did work at a busy branch. Now, this is a real example. Now, when I consult with people, I always try to uncover their financial needs. This means deep conversations and thoughtful questions. When I was working for this particular bank, I had meaningful and deep conversations with clients about their use of funds and what they're doing with their money. Now, I did have a particular conversation with a client who was gaining about 20% yield on his portfolio with his bank. I'm not going to say which bank, but the financial advisor obviously omitted information from him, not letting him know that he was at risk to lose just as much or more based on the yield that he was getting. Now, most of the time, people's first impressions about getting a yield of about 20% or more is, what bank can I go to for that? And how much is that going to get me? People are on the fast track to money. People want money desperately. And I see that in every interaction that I've ever been in. They're either looking to retain all of their wealth, or they're looking for the best way possible to gain more wealth. So in this situation, what I would do, I would use that information against them. Hey, you're getting about 20% yield on your portfolio, but did the financial advisor let you know that you're just as much at risk for losing all of your gains? You should probably speak with a financial advisor to look over your portfolio. Most of the time, people are going to decline this and say, well, I've had a tenured relationship with my financial advisor. I think he knows what he's talking about. This is such a disappointing thing that people do, because time and time again, we'll have people come back and say, hey, I think I would like to have that consultation. And by that time, it's already too late. The important thing is that we're extracting information from people to make sure that we get all the information we need to guarantee us a deal. That's what it just all comes down to when it's down to leverage, is that you're trying to win. In the same way about credit, credit is all about assessing the risks. So if you are seeking credit, whether that's a credit card, a loan, a line of credit, a balloon loan, all different loans, no matter what it is, if you're going to a creditor, you have to be reasonable with yourself. Time and time again, I have seen businesses all the way from 500,000 to 50 million that are looking for credit but can't get credit because their credit history is shot. They either have charge-off credit cards, defaults, late payments, missed payments, high utilization, pending litigations, or judgments. There's also a background check to make sure that the lender actually wants to do business with you. Not all lenders will do business with specific people. There are plenty of people who are actually blacklisted from working with any bank. And there are very few banks who are willing to extend a relationship to a person or a business who's already been blacklisted. The likelihood is not likely at all. So once you apply for credit, keep in mind that all of those things I had already mentioned, you need to be reasonable with yourself, because all that information is going to be on your credit and background report and will be used against you from the lender. And this is for my business finance majors. If you're in business finance, or if you're already in finance and you're looking to refine or upgrade your tool set, leverage is going to be the perfect component for you. Leverage is all about communication. I mentioned earlier in the video that leverage is a tool, but communication is what's going to forge your leverage. Now, to be an effective communicator, I am going to explain that on a different video, but if you are an effective communicator, now you should be thinking about, with all the information that you've gained, how can I use all that information? You want to methodically plan this out. Leverage doesn't always have to be used. Sometimes, if the person is reasonable enough, you don't have to use any leverage at all. Or, if there's nothing to be reasoned against, it doesn't have to be used either. What you need to know is why leverage is going to be the breaking point of winning a deal or losing a deal with a client. And not to be pessimistic, but most small enterprises, I would say within the range of 240,000 a year all the way up to 2 million a year, are extremely unreasonable businesses. I have seen defaults all the way from 240,000 a year to all the way to 2 million, even 5 million. And these business owners have no idea what credit guidelines they're getting into. They think that they can just get whatever they want based on the money that they have. Unfortunately, relationships are based on good faith, not just what you can bring to the table. So if you're in business finance, and if you have some specific situations or scenarios that you would like to go over, please email me or comment below so I can walk you through that process. But for the most part, if you are in business, finance, or if you're looking to go into those fields, leverage is going to be the most important component. And why is leverage so important? Because those are your negotiating points. Because when it comes down to the details of any investment opportunity, any kind of credit opportunity, or if you're facilitating any kind of cash movements, you want to look out for anything that could be used against the business or the consumer. In essence, you want to look for the negatives. If you have a scenario or situation that you are currently in and you would like some expert advice before going over anything or doing anything at all, please comment below on what your situation is or on my email below. I would like to know more on how I can assist you. Hope to see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.